This is a message for the British public. I guess also the British government, which has vilified me and tried their very best to use the MSM to enforce an asinine narrative that I am somehow public enemy number one and I should be banned from schools.
Yeah, they have done that. The British government has completely went against Andrew Tate. They even went as far as saying that he needs to be banned from school. You can actually see it. Teachers must not talk to pupils about Andrew Tate after spate of shocking misogynistic incidents. Don't talk to pupils about misogynistic Andrew Tate. Government urges teachers in England. Wow.
And my question is, what are you actually going to do about the fact that the streets of the UK basically run with blood permanently?
The answer is nothing. Nothing, because it's part of the agenda.
I teach stoicism, self-accountability. I teach men how to be disciplined, to work hard, to be diligent. I teach men how to be successful in this ultra-competitive world. And the things I teach, the attributes which young men learn from me, are the exact attributes which will prevent somebody doing the absolutely heinous and very emotional act of committing murder. Stoic people don't often murder in a fit of rage.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He does teach discipline. He does teach men to work hard. He does teach men to be masculine, to be strong, to pursue their goals. He does that. He does do that. That's what he teaches. But that's exactly what feminism doesn't want men to become. So that's the reason why the system went against him, or is against him, or wants to silence him, because everything that he teaches goes against what feminism is trying to teach men. Feminism is trying to weaken men. He's trying to strengthen men, to embrace accountability, responsibility, to embrace hard work, to embrace family creation, and taking care of your clan, of your tribe almost.
And we now live in a society, especially in the West, especially in the UK, where we're telling young boys, act how you feel. You should act how you feel and show more feelings. Well, that means they'll show sadness and sometimes they'll cry. It also means they'll show anger, which is why they're all stabbing each other, because we no longer teach the things we used to teach. Why, when we taught boys to be stoic, did we not have this problem?
There you go. There you go. Be emotionally intelligent. Yeah? They basically teaching men, they want men to be emotional. The only problem with men being emotional is that they are not in control of their emotions. See, when a man acts out his emotions, it's way much more destructive. An emotional man is very destructive because his strength is more destructive than a female strength. So he will be capable of more havoc than a female would. It's okay for a woman to be emotional. Even then, it's still not okay. A woman that controls her emotions and is in charge of her emotions are actually much more attractive to men. So anytime any human being, for that matter, including men, if they are emotional, that means they are no longer in control. And if they are not longer in control, the havoc and the disaster that they can cause is destructive. So the fact that they're telling men to be emotional just shows what the agenda wants out of men, basically. And let me just mention this: being raised in a household where a man is not present, a biological father is not present, and the dynamics of the father and the mother is not witnessed by the child on a day-to-day basis, being raised in a type of household feminizes the man, because a woman cannot raise a man by herself. It's very difficult for a woman to do that, and it's not a one-job person. You need two people. So yeah, he's absolutely right. Let's move on to the next point that he made that I found it was very interesting. Just hold on a second, guys. I'm doing this all by myself, all right? So chill.
Is so disregarded and disrespected, if you have a legal system and a judicial system which is so...
Hold on a second. He's talking about the legal system here, the UK legal system.
Without any masculine essence, without any strong men around, there is a power vacuum, and that power vacuum is current. But truthfully, if you have a legal system which is so disregarded and disrespected, if you have a legal system and a judicial system which has so little teeth that children don't fear it, I blame the government. I'm in Romania currently, poorest country in Europe. Teenagers never stab each other. Haven't seen it. Been here 7 years, haven't seen one. Do you know why? Because if you stab each other, you're gonna go to Romanian jail. And let me tell you from personal experience, I was unfairly incarcerated for something that never happened for 93 days in a Romanian dungeon, and I never want to go back. I guess it's probably the same reason why in Saudi Arabia teenagers don't stab each other, because you have to go to Saudi Arabian jail. But it seems that in the UK, teenagers have no fear of jail. No fear of the police, and no fear at all of the law.
Yeah, that's true. They don't, because it's a joke. The prison system here, or the reality that criminals face when they walk into a UK prison is a bloody joke. Of course, they wouldn't have no fear of the prisons here, which would, in a sense, encourage crime. Yes, in countries like Romania, yes, it would be those countries that jails are way much more harsher. I'm sure so it is in Saudi Arabia, and so it is in places like Angola, Africa, and so on and so forth. Yes, but does that deter crime? Is that the reason why, for example, the crime is not as high in a place like Romania? Absolutely not. That's not the main reason. That is a short-term solution. The main reason is the fact that if you look at those countries, most of the nuclear family is still intact, and that's the reason why you don't see you don't see that crime being committed, or the crime being so widespread in those countries. That's the reason why you don't see that. But you will see that in here, because the breakdown of the family, if you look at England, is severe. People have no respect for nuclear families anymore. There is no respect for masculinity. The feminist presence is heavy in this country. Is severe, to say the least. So yeah. So basically, that's the reason why. So yes, I agree with him, but I don't agree with him. Those jails, those harsh jails with those harsh conditions, does prevent crime, but up to a certain extent. I mean, look at America. America has the death penalty, and but that still doesn't prevent crime. They have a very big gang problem in America, which is just as bad.
To be disciplined and hardworking and diligent, I'm demonized and I am banned from school. Instead, we tell men to act feminine and act out on their emotions, and they get surprised when men then act angry. And the whole problem is this tornado, this upward spiral into insanity. And nobody's sitting there thinking, how do we fix this? So I made a video about knife crime 5 years ago. I made it very clear how I'd fix the problem. I made it very clear that they would be hung. 6, 7 years in jail, the last 3 years you're out, you're already 18, you're out by the time you're 25, running around again. Fucking that guy's gone forever, that family's ruined forever, and you're running around with a fucking knife thinking you're Rambo. I would fix this shit instantly. There would be the fucking corpses of these fuckers hanging from the bridge, and I guarantee after the first 4 or 5 are hung, after the first 4 or 5 have cried their eyes out on TV, the rest of these little pussies will think twice.
It's true. It helps to prevent crime. Guys, harsh sentences helps to prevent crime, but that's short-term solution. That's short-term solution. Okay? That won't stop it long-term. What will stop long-term is encouraging nuclear family values, encouraging marriage. That's what will stop it long term. A lot of the degeneracy that we are seeing is because what we have is children out of wedlock. We have single mother households on the rise. We have children, men being raised without men, being raised by women. This is why we are seeing them act out so violently, because they're more emotional. They never had that masculine presence to teach them the accountability that they would face. The first person that is supposed to teach you control and accountability is your father. That's the first person, and it has to start when you're young. A woman cannot do that, not at the same level that a man can. So that's the reason why. But yes, will harsher jails and those harsh sentences send a message out and stop it, short term? Yes, it would. But is that going to fix the problem? Absolutely not. Nowhere near. For the short term, yes, but you still need that long term solution. All right, so let's hear what his solution is. All right, and we're gonna end it there. Just hold on a second, guys.
And then some clowns have come along, because there's always clowns in the world, and started talking to me about human rights and how the UK would not hang anyone from Tower Bridge anymore because it violates human rights. What about the human rights of the people they stabbed? What about the human rights of the families who've lost members because of some feral idiot? Their human rights don't matter, but now human rights matter. So, because I am a professional, I will give a new answer. If somehow the UK cannot execute these scum like they should, then here's what I would do if I was in charge of the problem, because Andrew Tate fixes things. I don't sit and I don't talk, I fix. And here's how the UK could fix itself overnight. I would build a prison, maximum security prison, 24 hours a day lockdown, the most bare, the most Spartan conditions you can possibly imagine. Anybody who stabs anybody with a knife, whether they live or die, gets a full life term in my jail. And then I would take the BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation, and instead of using it to convince the populace that I'm a misogynist, instead of using it to convince people to get vaccines they don't need, instead of using it to try and convince children to have sex changes, what I would do is use it to fix the actual issues with the country. And we would set up, like Big Brother, 24-hour-a-day cameras in this jail. Each week, you would have a 1-hour recap of the people sitting in their rooms alone, crying. And you know what's beautiful about it? Every Saturday night, we broadcast that out to the nation. And there'll be a 16-year-old sitting there, watching another 16-year-old who stabbed someone, sitting in a room, crying for his parents, which he'll never see again. And he'll think twice, do I really want to be that person? The great thing about it is, it will fix things on a longer time frame. It'll be generational, because when that 16-year-old becomes 24 years old and he turns on the TV, he will have his life interconnected with that person who was the same age as him once. He'll see the 16-year-old's now 24 in the same room. He hasn't gone anywhere. He hasn't done anything. And that man will sit and think of all the things I've done between 16 and 24. I've fallen in love, I've got a job, I bought a car, I got a driver's license, I moved out. That man hasn't left his room.
Yeah, I see what you're proposing, Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate is wrong on this one. Unfortunately, he is. He's right on the sense that it's a short-term solution. It would definitely make guys think about it, but like I said, you've got countries where you have the death penalty and crime is rife in those countries. I would definitely implement that for short-term solutions, but I would focus on the long-term solution, which is to ban divorce, which is to basically stop women. If a woman gets pregnant, guess what? You're gonna have to rely on that man in order to survive. There is no government aid, there is no government funding, there is no government housing, there is none of that. and make people face the consequences that way. Take away those laws that encourage women to basically behave in a way that produces single mother homes. For example, I will ban abortion. I will ban the pill. Okay, because these are the type of things that encourage degenerate behavior that causes all the problems that we currently have. If you look at it, it all comes from that. It all comes from, in a sense, sinful behavior. All right. So people want to be promiscuous. You have a baby out of wedlock, and then you have the government that comes in and helps you. In a sense, not take accountability for what you've just done. So what the government does is it says, you know what, it almost encourages you to continue doing it. So it says, you know what, here's a house for the bad that you've done. Here's a house for the fact that you're going to destroy the next generation, and so on and so forth. So that's what the government does. So to me, the long-term solution would be to ban abortion. The long-term solution would be to ban the pill. The long-term ban housing for women. Ban financial aid for women, and so on and so forth. And then we would see more marriages. We would see more marriages coming together. We will see more marriages, and we will see more nuclear families coming back. And when we see more nuclear families, we're going to see most of these boys being raised by men and by fathers. And what we would see is the crime rate would actually eventually drop. So that's what would happen. But what he's proposing, I don't disagree with it for the short-term solution, but for the long-term, we need a long-term solution. And I know what he said about what he thinks of the long-term solution, but I don't think that's enough to deter these guys. These guys don't care. These guys will still do it. He thinks it will deter them. I don't think it will deter them. So we need long-term solutions. But yeah, peace. This is my reaction. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. This is the Solution Podcast. We're here for it. All right? Peace. And salute to Andrew Tate as well. That was a very important video. I want every single person to watch that. He was obviously outraged. He's obviously outraged as I am about the knife crime in London. I live in London. I know what time it is. So yeah, guys, go and watch it, man. Andrew Tate speaking the truth.